If you have a really good business and a really good offer, you don't just have an opportunity to help someone, you have an obligation. That 3% of people is enough to make you millions of dollars a year. And that's what I think what a lot of people don't understand.
You want to keep going with it and keep that consistency. When you're ready for clients, those clients will be there.
Payoff is so powerful, but the only way you get the payoff is by actually taking action, by actually doing things. All of that is possible if you do the right things in the right way. All right, hey there, my friend, Adam Earhart here, and welcome to this podcast. And today we've got a bit of an interesting one for you because I've got some notes that I was working on over the weekend, and I did not tell Dave about them at all. So as usual, my trusty co-host Dave Crawford is here, and we're going to dive into some thoughts and some ideas and some ruminations today on building an agency and scaling it up. And I've got a bit of a framework on, we all know the who, what, when, where, why framework. Well, this one's kind of all over the place, but I think that you're going to walk away with some like provable, sort of practical, actionable tips, some strategies, and some new ways of thinking of things that are going to get you sort of that like 80-20, the 80% of results with 20% of the effort. But before we dive in, Dave, how are you doing today?
Good, excited for this one. Throwing me at the deep end because if you've got notes over the weekend, well, this is going to be an interesting one. I've seen your notes as well, and it's like it's not a pretty picture. It's like scribbles of like a brain dump, and I'm like, okay, this could get interesting.
Yeah, you know what my notes remind me of is like if you ever see those like the detective shows where they've got the like cork board with the like red lines and the like pictures and the Post-its. That's literally what my my desk looks like. Instead of the red string, I normally just draw lines across whiteboards and mixed media.
It's definitely a skill, like pulling things together like that.
I don't know. I'd say more mad scientist than anything. It's and sometimes it takes a lot of just like throwing the stuff at the wall for the picture to come out. But when it does, there's often some good ones. So we're gonna start this with and here I even have my notes printed out analog style. I'm going more analog. I know it helps me to have a tactile version of it. But I'm gonna read something, then we're gonna break it down.
Okay.
So here's the thing: your income can be measured in direct proportion to the amount of offers you make, multiplied by the amount of goodwill you have in the market. So I'm going to read that again because it's important. Your income can be measured in direct proportion to the amount of offers you make multiplied by the amount of goodwill you have in the market. And essentially, this stems from my agency journey. And looking way back when I first got started over a decade ago, I did everything I could to build goodwill. So I did free seminars, I created free content, I did free consultations, I did free audit, I did free everything for everyone all the time. And I made like no money, like just nothing. Like the agency was just dying and nothing happened. And then someone was like, you got to make offers, man. I was like, no, I'm not selling out. I'm helping people and they're going to eventually know. And they didn't. And then I started making offers and the agency, it doubled. And then it doubled again. And then it doubled again. And it's just like, it went on from there. So yes, you got to make good stuff and you've got to provide some value, but you also have to make offers. And I think what ends up happening, especially the kind of people that we attract into our world, is they're really good people. And they're honest and they're hardworking and they're value centered and they're ethical and they're all of the good things in the world, which means they tend not to make enough offers. Because they're afraid of selling, they're afraid of putting themselves out there, they're afraid of looking salesy. Obviously, there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. We're going to unpack here as we go. But thoughts before we dive in to the meat and potatoes of it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, as you said, like that quote, I was like breaking it down. I was like, okay, the goodwill, what does that mean? And I was like, that's just value. And that was the word I was thinking. And value can be put out.
I got notes too.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're on the right track. Track. Carry on.
You said value can be content, YouTube videos, posts, but also could be like free audits, anything like that. And then offers, like I think a lot of the businesses we see just don't make enough offers. Like they're scared of making those offers, but a lot of the time, those people that you're making offers are almost waiting for that offer. They want that offer. And sometimes if you are very good at what you do, people will just come and reach out to you and be like, hey, can you help me with this? But you can't rely on that. So you have to make offers to people. And I do think sometimes people are just too nice. And I think at the end of the day, you're not in this to build amazing friendships. You might get some along the way, but to pay the bills and build a business. So I think getting that sweet spot right, which I'm sure we'll dive into, because creating content and giving value, if you're good at it, can feel really easy, but then making offers can feel really hard. So you've got to find that nice balance. And obviously then your agency will grow.
Yeah. So I call creating content a lot productive procrastination, because especially in the early stages of your agency, it's just like, it's just so far from the most important thing for you to do. Like, it's just like, it could not be further. Like, yes, you have to do it at some point, but like when you're first getting started, no, because there's no one there to see it and on and on. So anyway, we'll definitely unpack that. The second thing, you had a good point there, which is people, the business owners, the clients that you're going to potentially serve are there waiting for you to make an offer. So the way that someone presented this to me forever ago, and I wish I could remember who did it so I could give them the right attribution, but it was like, if you have a really good business and a really good offer, you don't just have an opportunity to help someone, you have an obligation. Because what ends up happening is that there is someone out there in pain. They have a problem. They're, I don't know, for the business owner, not enough leads, not enough sales, not enough customers. They're worried about payroll. They're worried about getting enough revenue. They've got all of this stuff, and you've got something that can help them. And now you're not giving it to them. Think of how selfish that is. You're like, you've got this skill, this set of abilities, this network, these connections that you're able to help someone solve this problem, and you're just like keeping it in your pocket because you're too scared to be like, would you like this thing? Where they're going to say yes, and I would love that thing. But anyways.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a mindset shift though. And that's something that I'm not a salesperson, never been a salesperson, wouldn't want to be a salesperson, but I've built a lot of relationships and had a lot of agency clients myself. And what I shift was, I wasn't selling, I was service first. I was delivering a service, and they were obviously paying for that service. And I think when I got on sales calls, I was like, well, I'm not here to sell. I'm just here to have a conversation with someone. If they've got a problem, can I fix it? If yes, then we meet in the middle. They send me some money and I deliver on the service. So that's what flipped for me. And I can just have a conversation with someone and have that service first mentality versus sales first. I think that really helped me just make offers, get on calls, and actually bring on clients to my agency. Yeah.
So funny story about that. What you just told me is exactly what I told a sales trainer once. I was like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not into it. I just like to have a conversation with someone. I service first. And he's like, hey, bro, that's sales. And I was like, oh, no kidding.
Yeah, but
and
these
and he's like,
guys, they're like, come on. Some of them are just...
Well, some of them. I think a lot of that just comes down to like a lot of the like sales training that looks good on YouTube is that like 3-piece suit with the tie, with the like take no prisoners, bro up, get the Lambo, kill everyone in your way.
Objections.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just, a lot of that is fluff and nonsense. I'd like to think that the old like Wolf of Wall Street, just like slaughter everyone in your path is dated and played out. Because now it's funny. It's like when we hire new salespeople for the team, it's like the big thing when I'm having a conversation with them is like, hey, we're soft. Like we're going to have a conversation. We're going to make sure it's a good fit. We're going to walk them through their problems. We're going to make sure like all of these things. Whereas we've sort of changed the way that we do sales calls, where it's less of a sales call. It's more of like an application call. It's like, we need to make sure that everybody involved is a good fit, but I got notes. I don't want to burn through time. So ready for the who, what, where, when, why? Okay. So again, for a reminder, your income can be measured direct proportion to the amount of offers you make multiplied by the amount of goodwill you have in the market. So the what? First of all, we got offers. So I wrote about 3 different places to make these offers. So it's like what we're going to make some offers, and there's kind of some more, there's a bit of a where in there too. We'll hit that in a second. I appreciate some of these notes aren't fully fleshed out now that I'm reading them here, but regardless, inbound, first offers, inbound marketing, and of course outbound. So inbound, I said content. Now we've kind of already beat up content a lot about, yes, it's important, but it's probably not the most important thing. But when it comes to like inbound marketing and building a system for people to come to you, I don't know. In my view, it's probably the most powerful tool available to you for that kind of result. Yeah.
So are you saying that probably wouldn't do that inbound content marketing straight away if you're just getting started? Maybe it's something further down the line to kind of implement. Is that what you say?
Totally. Yeah. So it's like, I like it. We're going to have it, but we're not going to have it right away.
Yeah.
We talked about this actually in the episode on imposter syndrome. Content marketing is a great way to sort of build up your confidence because you're going to be creating content around it. But I want to make sure that we're doing it in very small amounts so that it doesn't become the focus, because otherwise you end up becoming a content marketer or a whatever else. And those, like, that is not as lucrative a position as an agency owner. Okay, next, outbound. We got 2 different tools for you to choose for outbound. I put cold email for number 1, and I put ads for number 2. And I love them both. If I'm picking one, I'm putting my money on cold email. We could also say cold DMs. We could say cold call, but I find cold email for most people, it allows them to overcome that any fear they have over outreach without, like, it's probably the easiest thing to start doing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think cold email versus cold ads, like, you're probably not going to have the money to invest in the ads, nor the skill set, and they don't work necessarily straight away. Like, they could take 3 months, 4 months to even get a client because they're so cold. Whereas with email, it might take a month, but you can get a system going and you can really kind of crank that up and start to get in front of a lot of people. And like we said, which is most important, make offers. So definitely cold email is the strategy I would choose there.
Cool. And then I sort of half wrote this down in like scribble writing, but I think I can read it. There's this sort of like perpetual compounding effect of all of them. So it's like you send some cold emails, you split test them, you find out which offers work. Then you can create content around those and you can find out what gets traction. Then you can take your best players there and you could put them into ads. And now you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with like, well, this worked really well in cold email. And one of the things that I don't think people fully understand is that an offer that converts with cold email, now you're going to need to tweak it. You can't just copy paste, but like that offer will also probably convert with ads, with cold call, with DMs, with direct mail, with networking. Like a good offer is a good offer. We do have to package it up a little bit different, put it in the right format. But like if somebody wants it over here, they're probably going to want it over there. And this allows you to, again, you take the learnings from one pile and you sort of put them in another. Okay, next where? Outbound. So again, we're talking cold email, we got ads. So for DMs, email is obviously email. DMs, I put Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then inbound for content, I put YouTube. So here's where I'm going with this one. Essentially, if you're going to send any kind of outbound, obviously email, we're going to send to an email inbox. But when it comes to social and sending direct messages, which is like a version of cold email, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, they do seem to be the 3 most powerful players by like 80%. And then like you might have a few others, like maybe some people are doing okay with Twitter and some people a little bit with TikTok, but it's like Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn are still the dominant B2B lead gen players.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you've named 3 there, but if you're just getting started, like it doesn't mean you have to go on all 3. You have to look at it and say, okay, well, where do I think my ideal clients are hanging out? Where do you think they might be on Facebook or they might be on Instagram? And I think that's where we see a lot of times like I need to go on all platforms and people are on all 5 platforms trying to do everything at once. Yeah. And then, like you said, there comes a kind of a procrastination because you're on all of these different social media platforms. So I think, I would personally pick one that maybe is already set up and you've got a bit of a following on there and there might be some low hanging fruit on there already that you can pick off and bring into the agency. So, but yeah, those 3 definitely, I think, are the 3 that I would choose. And I would, like I said, I'd choose one of them.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, good point. Thanks, Dave. 100%. You got to pick one, and then we're going to line it up with your ideal client avatar. So figure out like who that person is, where they're present and active, and then I think it's super solid. Start with the one that you've got the most comfort with, where you already have a personal network, because again, those conversations are what's going to lead to the opportunities. And then inbound being YouTube. So this is, and again, man, I've got this almost undying. So 2 thoughts. I've got this undying love for YouTube, but I'm also at the same time very agnostic to the platforms. So the reason that I like YouTube is simply because it delivers results. Nothing else. Otherwise, I have no affinity to the platform whatsoever. I'm happy to, we'll go wherever the people are going to get the best results from. But YouTube, year after year after year, just continues to deliver results. And compared to all of the other platforms, the Facebooks, the Instagram, the LinkedIns, you're building these evergreen assets that just show up and they compound and people can binge watch them and they go through other content. And it's this force. Appreciate there's a barrier to entry there. You've got to make some video content, but that's a good thing because the harder it is, the better you're going to do because you actually want it. So you're going to get rid of all the people that are like, yeah, I'll take it if it comes to me. I'm interested, not committed. But yes, YouTube. Thoughts on YouTube, my man. I know you love it too. I'm setting
Yeah,
you up
I
here.
love it. And I mean, again, it's the type of people that are on YouTube. I think the first thing is they're on there searching for something. So they might be searching for a specific problem they have. So then you might come up. So then they watch your video and they're like, they can see you, hear you, like, and listen to you and just build that rapport. Like, I remember way back in the day when I first watched your videos and I was like, I feel like I knew you. I like really liked your videos and I was like, I resonated with you. And then from there, I just watched more and more and more and learned. And I think that's what can happen on YouTube versus, you know, let's say Facebook or Instagram. You put a post on there, it's dead within an hour. You're never going to see it again.
Yeah.
Whereas on YouTube,
Yeah.
like videos just compound. And then all of a sudden that video you made on Facebook ads, how to crush Facebook ads in 2019 starts compounding in 2024. And you're like, how? That was 5 years ago. Why are people watching this video? But for some reason,
Crazy.
it does. So
yeah, crazy. In fact, it's funny, like we'll often go through our old videos. So we've got, I think at the time of this recording, public videos. So not including the unlisteds and the privates and all the ones that come up for a short. I think we're at like 980 on the main channel and like 20 on the agency accelerator channel. So it's like 1,000 videos. And like, I kid you not, there's videos from exactly like you said, like 2019, 2018, like 6-7 years old videos that continue to bring in traffic and clicks and leads. And it's mind blowing. And I think the other thing is like, sometimes, yes, the video production quality has gone up and there's better editing and a lot of that, but it's like, man, some of those oldies where it's like me in front of a camera and the audio is only coming out of the left side because I couldn't figure out how to use a microphone right. And it's like kind of blurry because autofocus and I don't know what I'm doing. And like those crush, they just work because again, say this sounds so silly, but it's like, you just can't fake caring. Like if you actually care and you make it your goal, it's like, I'm going to provide as much value as I can. I'm going to help you as much as I possibly can. Yeah. It comes through. Video is an amazing tool like that in that I don't want to say like, don't try to get better, but as long as you care, humans are really good at sensing that. So it's like, we can tell when someone's kind of like faking it and going through the motion. Speaking of like the sales guys in the 3-piece suits and the Lamborghinis and all that, it's like, we just like, that comes off. Like we know what's going on there. But if someone's there and they're trying to help, yeah, it looks good too. Yeah. Speaking of, Dave, that's a good segue. Next how. This how, or I guess the first how. This how is on goodwill. So again, income measured, amount of offers you make, goodwill. We got to build some goodwill. How do we build it? I've got notes. I said testimonials. Number one, because they provide proof. I said case studies because they provide proof. I said content because that provides value and proof. There's also the mere exposure effect we totally have to talk about. And there's making an irresistible offer, which is a promise. So again, goodwill, testimonials, case studies, content, irresistible offer. They operate on a few different paths essentially to provide it. So proof, some value, and a promise. But that is how that's how we do it.
Okay, cool. So then with the case studies, testimonials, are we like video testimonials or?
Ideally. So there is a hierarchy of believability when it comes to like getting testimonials and case studies. So the first one is like video, obviously, because you just can't still, even with AI, we don't fake video. It just comes off as natural. So video is always going to do the best. Followed by that, it's going to be written with picture, first name, last name. After that, it's going to be written with picture, first name. After that, it's going to be written with just first name, last name. After that, where am I at now? Now it's just written with first name.
Yeah.
Name. After that, it's just written with no name. Random person. Yeah, just name. It's like Adam. Adam agrees. So I think, and obviously, depending on your market that you're in, like you want to try to get video testimonials. But again, like depending on how competitive your market is, you can slide down that scale. So if you are in like the most obscure, tiny niche that has never been marketed to before, you're going to do fine with just like a couple written testimonials. But if you're in a like really competitive online business, internet marketing, where it's like, if we look at our agency accelerator page where someone can book a call, it's like we've got video testimonial after video testimonial after video testimonial after video testimonial. And it's just like this long list of it, because that's what's required to be like, yes, these guys are actually legitimate. Yes, they're actually real. Yes, they actually do what they say. We couldn't just put like, here's a thing and yeah, they're great and go do it. It wouldn't fly. So yeah, you want to try to get the highest quality case study testimonial that you can in the person's word, because it seems more believable. It is more believable because it's their story.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what's next?
Content then. Value and proof. I want to unpack that one a bit more because we talked about content a lot. We didn't talk about the mere exposure effect, which I love. So the mere exposure effect is that psychological phenomenon that says that the more that we see something, the more that we like it. This stems back from like our caveman days where if you'd imagine like a scary animal walking by your cave and it didn't try to kill you, it's like eventually you're like, oh, this thing's fine. Maybe it's a dog. Maybe I'll adopt a pet here. Caveman Adam, adopting pets. But now we can sort of leverage that by just showing up again and again. And this is where making those offers and providing that goodwill come in. Because again, it's that know, like, and trust factor. If we can show up again and again and again in front of someone, eventually we become, like you said, we start to feel like we know this person, we know who they are, and we know what they would do, we know what they would say. So it makes it easier to sort of trust them when it comes time to actually do business. Okay, next, who are these people? And for that, I've got my pyramid of buyers. You've seen this before. I don't think I've ever called it the pyramid of buyers. And for anybody not watching, imagine a pyramid or a triangle. And at the very top, you've got 3% of the market who are ready to buy right now. You've got 10% who are going to buy soon, and you've got 87% who are going to buy later. And what's important to understand, and this is a mistake that I made like a decade ago when I was making all of the content, is I was appealing to the people who are going to buy later because they're huge. It's like 87 and 97% of the market, but they're going to buy later. And you probably want to eat today. So it's like we have to change our priorities and we have to go after that top 3% of the market. And they have cash, credit card in hand. They have a problem. They're actively looking for a solution, and they're the ones that we put offers in front of. Thoughts on that one?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that comes down to, I mean, probably a thought that comes to mind is, well, how do you know who those people are? But I think that's where it's a case of just making those offers, and then within those offers, you're gonna get in front of those 3% people, and then scarily you're gonna be like, oh wow, someone just said yes, they want to jump on a call, and then all of a sudden you start to see calls come through, and then you're like, I'm now tapping into that 3%. Great. And I'm getting calls booked and I'm making sales.
Yes, 100%. I'm glad you said that. Exactly. Because that's the main question we always get is like, well, who are those 3%? How do I find them? And the answer is...
Do you have a tag on Facebook? Or...
Yeah, exactly. I'm the 3%.
I'm ready. I have a credit card.
Yes, exactly. We find those people. But it's funny, actually, joking aside, we don't need to find them because they find us. Because again, they are looking for a solution. So the only thing that we could do to screw that up would be to hide our solution from them. Like that's it. Like they're out there looking and then we're like hiding behind a rock because we don't want to be like, I got this thing. When in reality, all we have to do is we have to go out there and we say, hey, I have this thing. Are you interested? So it's like cold email 101. Obviously don't use the script. We've got better ones on videos and obviously in the program and all of that. But it's like, hey, do you have this problem? I have this solution. Are you interested? It was probably, I can imagine that's the first cold email that ever got sent, 19 whenever. And that's it. Hey, do you have this problem? I've got this solution. Are you interested? And most people say no, and that's fine. Because those that say yes more than compensate for the time and the energy required to go out and reach to all those people. So yes, 3% who buy now, 10% buy soon, 87% buy later. For those people, we make content, but we've got to focus on that 3% now. And I think, again, final point on this one before we hit out to when, that 3% of people is enough to make you millions of dollars a year. And that's what I think what a lot of people don't understand. It's like, well, it's such a small portion of the market and you're already telling me to niche down and I've got to pick this and I'm getting even smaller and I'm getting even smaller. But there's still tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who meet that criteria. And if you charge $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, you do not need millions and millions of clients to make an absolute ridiculous amount of money. You need a very select few. You need to do a really good job. You need to be clear with your offer. And then you need to reach out to a lot of people so that you're able to get the 3% saying, yeah, I'd like more.
Yeah, I think just on that though as well, you almost like, obviously with that pyramid you were talking about, you can almost start pushing people up that pyramid because if you make enough offers, like, yeah, you hit that 3%, but the people that say no to you, don't get emotional about it. It's not, we don't need to get upset. Yeah. We're like, yeah, no problem. But now you've made them aware and they'll be thinking about you. And then maybe they're part of the 10%. So you fill that 10% bucket up and then they reach out in a couple of months and go, hey, I still have this problem. I'm ready now. And the same with that 87%. If you reach out to them, because you probably inevitably will be, again, you'll just probably bring them up to that 10% and then they'll come to the 3%. So it's kind of a cycle. If you make enough offers, people will start to kind of scale up that pyramid. And then, like you said, you'll just keep filling that 3% bucket of people that are ready to buy.
Oh, that's genius, Dave. I never thought about it that way. Yes. You basically have, so two things. First of all, is that we're tapping into that mirror exposure effect again by showing up in front of them and again and again and again, and they keep seeing us and they're like, all right, well, hey, they're still here. In fact, if anything, there's this business sometimes, not in the perfect world, but sometimes it's a war of attrition, where if you can just like not die, you're going to be fine, because it's like the compounding laws of business, right? Like you get better. Every day, every week, every month that you stay alive in business, you get better. And then again, it does tend to explode like exponentially, like a hockey stick. It's very strange. It happens to basically everyone. It always comes out of nowhere, but it feels like you're getting nowhere. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what just happened? How did everything go right now? The other thing is, I love that idea of the pyramid sort of like refilling itself. I almost want to flip it over like a funnel, because yes, soon becomes now, and later becomes soon, just by the natural passing of time. I think again, we're not talking about it today, but it's an important point to bring up, is like, this is the value of having a system and a strategy, is that if you just do the right things and you do them consistently, success becomes inevitable. It's like, it's a foregone conclusion. In fact, oh man, it's like I'm reading ahead. Let's talk about this now. When do you do this? All the time, right? So if reaching out to 100 people a day makes it almost impossible to not make a substantial and almost ridiculous amount of money. And I think that ties in, is like, if you do this consistently, strategically, obviously do it right, and you do it for a long enough period of time, failure, it's almost impossible for me to wrap my head around how you could not have conversations with people that are actively looking for solutions that you have. And like, not even a few of them are going to be like, yes, I would like that. Could you please help me?
Yeah. Again, like you said, it's just a volume play. Like if you have that system and you set it up and you stick to it and you're consistent, like you will get results, as long as the offer's right and you like you said, you've aligned everything. Yeah, definitely, you're going to get results. And I think that's something that, again, one, it's the hardest thing is usually getting started. Once you get started, you'll probably get some traction, and then you might get a lot of no's, and then you get a bit emotional about it, but you've just got to keep going. And then I think the main point there is consistency. Just keep going. And even when you start signing clients as well, like, it's not like, oh, I've just signed 3 clients, I'm going to stop doing my outreach, because you stop your outreach, then you're kind of standing still then, and then you've got to re-fire up that machine, and it might take a couple of weeks to fire up again. So you kind of, you might want to dial it down a little bit, because you've got to onboard these clients, but you want to keep going with it and keep that consistency, because that does compound. And then when you're ready for clients, those clients will be there.
Yeah, 100%. Darren Hardy calls it Big Mo for momentum.
Yeah.
And he's got a book called The Compound Effect, solid book. And momentum is this really powerful force where, yes, to go from like 0 to 1 is a challenge. Like, you got to get that rock moving. But like, once that rock is moving, it is a behemoth. And then it will take you and your life and your agency and your business in places that you never thought would be even possible. So on that note, speaking of emotions, our final of them, the why. Why do this? And again, we can get as sappy and soft as you feel like pushing here. But I wrote a few things, and I will get a little emotional here, because a lot of these mean a lot to me, because I remember what my life was like before the agency, and I almost have to collect my thoughts here, because like, it was, on the outside, it was really solid. Like, it was like, Adam is living the dream. I was flying business jets all over the world. I was making good money. But inside, it was the darkest period of my life. It was, I had no control. I felt like I wasn't fulfilling my potential. I felt completely trapped. I felt like I was just like, this was it for the rest of my life. And I could look forward. And while I liked the people that I worked with, I didn't want to be where they were, like, looking ahead. Like, you can fast forward 20 years and see, all right, this is what my life's going to be. And a lot of it was like challenging families and still paycheck to paycheck, because the more money you make and you're in a world that you're not really a part of, so you spend a lot. And yeah, it was brutal. So when I, for lack of a better term, had like a nervous breakdown and basically quit, I was like, I gotta get out of here. And I came home, like, I had nothing, no transferable skills, I ended up selling running shoes for minimum wage. And I remember people walking into the store that knew me before, and they're like, what happened, man? Like, you used to fly business jets and you're selling running shoes? Like, it was a very couple awkward, weird conversations. And I didn't have the confidence at the time to be like, I'm going to be successful. It was just like, I don't know. So we can unpack that a bit, but the why. For me, it came down to three big things. So it was like financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. It's funny because, again, like, I live in a small town, and I remember when I first quit flying, I had a chat with my wife and I was like, we probably have to move to a big city. And she didn't want to move to the big city and I didn't want to move to the big city, but I was like, there's just no economic opportunities for me here. There's just nothing unless I go fishing or logging or mining. Like, that's it. Those are the industries. And I was like, there's gotta be something. And so I was like desperately searching and unfortunately found the agency model, and the story's well documented on the channel, but it's like, that's it. The financial, the time, the location freedom. I wanted to have enough money to do what I wanted. I wanted the time freedom to be able to drop my kids off at school, pick them up from school, take a vacation without having to ask for it, work late, work early, don't go to work, do whatever I wanted, and location freedom. I wanted to work from my laptop, whether it was in a small town in Canada or the south coast of Spain or the other side of the world or while traveling here, whatever it was. And yeah, those drivers help to power you through, because all of that is possible if you do the right things in the right way.
Yeah, I think those are the three massive ones. And I think sometimes you can lean into certain ones. Like, for me, I sometimes realize that I used to hate my 9-to-5 job, and I would do anything not to go back to a 9-to-5. Like, and I was playing golf with someone at the weekend, and they said to me, like, he's actually retired, he's in his 50s, and he was like, what's the best thing about retirement? And he was like, never have to be woken up by an alarm clock. And I feel like that's that's kind of what it is like to run your own business and can decide.
Yeah.
Like, I work with a lot of, or have worked with a lot of American clients. So I'll get up later, but I'll work later because of the time zone. And I think for me, it's the time thing. Like, I'll work weekends because I just love it. I love doing it. So having that choice, whereas you would not catch me working weekends for my 9-to-5. I was like out there at 5:00, and then Saturday was done, and then Sunday you get like the Sunday blues, and you're like, no, I've got to go back to work. Yeah. But the time freedom for me was huge. Like, it's so valuable, and it just makes life so much better.
Yeah, I think also it's funny that you say it's like, we'll work weekends, because I know you and I both. In fact, we should do a better job of I'll find you on Slack and we'll be, exactly. Send you a Slack. Dave, check out this new ad. Just wrote this. But I think there's two things to it. First of all is that when you set your agency up the right way, when you set your business up the right way, it's like you do things that you enjoy and that are fun. And you delegate or outsource to get rid of all the stuff that you don't like. So I don't want to pretend like every day is just a party in the sun and there's never any challenges or whatever it is. But there's way more than I ever thought. And the second thing is that you get rewarded in direct proportion to the results that you produce. So with your 9-to-5 or whatever, it's like, I would work harder or stay late or get called back to work or do all these things, and my salary didn't change. Like, it was always the same. Whereas now it's like, if we come up with a new campaign or a new idea, or we launch a new initiative or we launch a new program, whatever it is, it's like we get compensated for that work. So it makes it even more fulfilling. And so it's like, I work harder, but now I'm making way more money. And then I'm working on fun stuff. So it's even more enjoyable. So I put control over your life was the fourth item. And then I put two others, which again, we talk about kind of that chip on the shoulder, but one was prove to others that you can do it. And the other one was prove to yourself that you can do it, which I think I don't mind which one like our students and clients operate from to start with. Again, like long-term, I'd rather prove to yourself than prove to others. But I think short-term, they're both really valuable, because anything that's going to get you to take action, like that's going to be enough to sort of get that ball rolling, get that momentum going. Because again, the payoff is so powerful, but the only way you get the payoff is by actually taking action, by actually doing things.
Yeah. Love it. Is that
all right, my man?
Is that all the notes? Are we going to showcase these notes? So these notes going to be screenshotted and or are they ineligible?
Oh, they're totally ineligible. I have printed them out. We could do it, but it would just look like a child drew them. Maybe like a kindergarten finger painting. Well, I'll make sure that we'll have a transcription or something so people can decipher. But yes, that is the what, the where, the how, the who, the when, the why, all of that and more. My friend, I appreciate you. Thank you for the excellent back and forth banter. And with all that said, I will catch you in the next episode.
Yep. See you next time.